All right, so this is the questions and answers from Be a Better Driver when we talked about mirrors. I think I'm probably going to title it, Your Car Doesn't Have Blind Spots, You're Just Stupid. We'll see how that works out. If you haven't watched that video, here's the link right up here, and there's going to be a link down below for the original Your Car Doesn't Have Blind Spots, You're Just Stupid. And we're going to take comments and questions from the YouTube live stream, all of your comments and questions. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to take my phone here off of the live stream, and we're going to take all the comments and questions, see what everybody has to say. So I'm going to go right up to the top here, and we'll try to find something that's topical. If not, we'll just take whatever everybody says. Hey, Tommy, what's a C-pillar? You might run the gambit of vehicle structure. All right, so a C-pillar, we'll go through it real quick with you guys here. I'll edit this in. So on a car, we've got the A pillar, which is your front diagonal pillar here on the car. Your B pillar is the middle, so behind the driver and passenger seats. Your C pillar is going to be all the way back yonder. On a standard passenger vehicle, C pillar is going to be between your back seats and then your rear windshield. Now, unlike three-row SUVs, some big trucks, some specialty vehicles, you'll have pillars behind that and you just go D, E, whatever, as you go down the line. Especially big, cargo vans or passenger vans, stuff like that. So that's what I mean. When I mean C-pillar, I mean this one. And as you can see on my car, the C-pillar is pretty large. It's got this little tiny window, but what's that going to do? Like for me, I'm just looking at the sky through that. And people think that because they can't see directly back there by looking back there, that like there's no way to see back there. And that's what our side view mirrors are for. You don't want to just try to look back there and, I don't see anything, I'm going to come over anyway. That's your C-pillar. Mattias Andreas says, you've helped me prepare for the Utah Highway Patrol, so thank you. You're very welcome, Mattias. Good luck to everyone. I know we have a lot of aspiring law enforcement officers that come out of the channel to get some police training and some insights and tips and tricks. We're happy to help you here. If you got any ideas for future videos you'd like to see, put them down in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. That's where this came from. Somebody said, I'd like to hear about driving, so I just started making them one day. Gaming Kills says, we can't see it. I'm recording these, live streaming on my phone, and recording on both my A and my B camera so that I can videotape what I'm talking about, better views of it. So you have to come on when we have the completed video. Again, there's going to be a little link up there in the corner of the eye and down in the description when this goes live. The live stream video doesn't stay live forever. All you get is the one vantage point of the phone when I'm doing it live. So Mike says, configuration of side mirrors is one of the largest devastating failures of driver education programs in the last 25 years. I'd have to agree. I get at least 75% of the people that tell me somebody was in their blind spot or that I get for training. I'll check what their position is. I'll sit in the car where their head would be, and I'll look, and I'll see that view of half of it the side of the car, and the other half will be, the horizon line and a little bit of the street and a little bit of above it. You can't see anything out the mirrors that way. You're looking behind you. Everybody's really obsessed with people tailgating them. And in reality, unless the person tailgating you is significantly larger than your vehicle, they're not a huge danger to you. Your car is meant to take rear-end collisions. And for police cars, they're normally meant to take 75 to 90 mile an hour rear-end collisions with minimal injury to the person sitting in the driver's seat, which is the person we're worried about when we're driving out on patrol. However, the overlap collisions, when somebody rear ends you just in the corner or hits you just from the front, and the side collisions, cars don't have nearly as much protection there. So it's very critical that you not merge on top of somebody or somebody doesn't turn into you. So being able to see to the side is extremely important. And it's something that isn't taught in driver education. I have no idea why. Put down in the comments below whether or not you were taught this stuff in driver education. Andy Torrey says, try driving a Dodge Patrol 4-door pickup with a cage. Impossible to see anything. I have driven every type of pickup truck imaginable. Every single type of pickup truck imaginable, and I've never had a problem with blind spots in them. I know that's an unusual thing. I know a lot of people think they have blind spots. I'm telling you, if you use this method, you're not going to have a blind spot off the side of the car. I've driven Dodge Rams with caps on them that you can't see through, and I'm still able to adjust my mirrors so that I don't have blind spots off to the sides on either side of the car. I hear people all the time, guys tell me all the time, no, there's a blind spot, I can't see the prisoner van. We get all the time at work. Because the prisoner van only has flat side view mirrors. And it's a van. It's a 1-ton van, box van, no back windows. You can't see anything out of the back of it. And people tell me, oh, this thing's nothing but blind spot. And I get in it and I adjust the mirrors and I go, I can see everything off the side of the van. It freaks people out, I think, that they can't see behind them. And again, behind you is not the area you need to worry about unless you're backing up. And if you are backing up, you simply adjust your side view mirror on your driver's side so you can see behind you. That's it. And with power mirrors, it's not an issue. It's just not. I don't know what to tell you. I know the quad cab trucks with the cage. Town near me, Dalton PD, has F350 or F250 quad cab pickup trucks with cages because they've got some unincorporated area or something right near them. They have to be able to drive through mud and stuff. No problem with it. You can still see through the cage, and even if that cage was completely blacked out, even if it was a van, you can still see the blind spots on the side of the van. The engineers design these things so they won't have blind spots. The engineers designing cars are better at this than any of us. And they design them so they won't have blind spots if the mirrors are properly adjusted. Now, if you get into Bugattis, multi-million-dollar machines where they got the little tiny itty-bitty side view mirrors, and it's more for style than maybe you have a good argument for, but I've yet to run into a van, a paddy wagon, box truck, a tractor trailer, a bus, anything where you can't adjust the mirrors to see who's right off your C-pillar or right off that edge of the vehicle. That's been my experience. Somebody wants to bring me one and be like, there's the blind spot. You can't even adjust the mirror to go that way. That's great. But I'd say 99.9% of vehicles that are on the road today don't have blind spots. You just don't know how to adjust the mirrors. So give this a try. I know it's disconcerting the first time you do it, that you can't see straight behind you in your side view mirrors, but you don't need to see straight behind you in your side view mirrors. You need to see the side, so when you have to merge over, you don't crash into somebody. Mike says the words blind spot need to be retrained to all to mean you're not done setting your mirrors. Love it. Well, it's people. I titled the video to get people to watch it because people don't like getting called stupid. But this is something in driver education people just aren't getting. And it's rampant in society. And that's why if you've ever been on the highway and someone has merged over the top of you and you've had to swerve into another lane, that's why. Because people don't know how to use these mirrors. They don't know how to use their side view mirrors. And so if they've got something stacked in the back of the car so that they can't see out that side, they have no other recourse of how they can see that way. And so they just merge over. They turn their signal on, and when you don't merge out of their way, you don't back up out of their way, they just merge over because they've got nothing else they can do. Mattias says cars don't have blind spots. People are just stupid. As an over-the-road truck driver, I love this. I'm telling you, this guys that drive 18-wheelers, guys that drive cranes don't have blind spots other than directly off the rear bumper of the truck. And I think as an over-the-road truck driver, you would agree if someone's right off the rear bumper of your truck, that's more their problem than it is yours. New mirrors and clusters that have logos and turn signals and whatever else. Okay, so turn signals, not a big deal. Your turn signal's coming on. It's not really going to distract you that much, and it's giving other people in traffic a better idea, hey, this car's coming over. So putting turn signals in the side view mirrors makes perfect sense. The clusters, the little blind spot mirrors, sometimes those are engineered into cars because they need them, because it's to take advantage of better visibility you could have with the little rounded mirror on your side view mirror, because you've got really big, heavy B and C pillars because of rollover protection in vehicles. If they've got them, you should probably learn how to use them. The problem I have is with blind spot monitoring. The reason's pretty simple. Let's say you drive a Cadillac or a Toyota Avalon or a Lexus or something, and you've got blind spot monitoring on your car. Now, blind spot monitoring is great when you're driving a car with it and you're used to it. You can look over, and if you see a little yellow dot or a little red dot, you can't merge over. It means somebody's in your blind spot, somebody's right off your C-pillar. The problem is, especially for police work, especially for security work, especially for tow truck drivers and paramedics and firefighters and stuff like that, is that commercial vehicles very rarely come with blind spot monitoring. And until it's universal, this is the problem it's going to have. I drive my car, it's got blind spot monitoring. I get very used to looking in that side view mirror when I'm going to merge over and seeing if there's a little yellow dot. And if there's no yellow dot, I can merge over. The issue becomes, I get into the Squad, the Ford Explorer, it doesn't have blind spot monitoring. So I get in, I'm going to merge over, I get used to, from my personal car, looking at that mirror, I see no dot, I merge over, there's somebody there. Because instead of adjusting my mirrors properly on all my cars, I'm just looking for a little yellow dot. And that's an issue. Because it's not a safety concern for the car that has blind spot monitoring. Active safety is always a plus when you're in the car that has it. The problem is people become dependent on it, and then when they get into a car that doesn't have it, it can cause accidents. Samuel Hope says, what's your fear as an officer? You're so inspiring. I wouldn't say I'm inspiring. Ugly, mainly. Caffeine addicted, probably. I don't know about inspiring. My greatest fear as a cop, I'll put the link down in the description below, but I have a video called Cop's Greatest Fear, or, my greatest fear as a cop, something like that. It's got a headstone on it, on the video link. I'll try to remember to put it down below. Where I outline what my greatest fear on the job is, and it's not me getting hurt. It's people that are my friends in law enforcement getting hurt, especially the people that I got involved. Like, I encouraged to get involved with law enforcement, and that's why I'm so serious about training. Is that I don't want the people that I got involved in this to get hurt because they didn't know about how to use their mirrors or the myriad of things that we talk about on the channel. Mike says, I know you're a Doug DeMuro fan. I am. I really like that he makes fun of cars. What's the most ridiculous mirror on a car or vehicle you've seen? It's normally the exotics. And luckily, I'm far too poor. Link to Patreon down below. I'm far too poor to own a Bugatti or a Maserati or anything like that. There are some exotics that have only driver side rearview mirrors, and they're little tiny index card size ones. I can't remember what car exactly it is, but I've seen a lot of them on his channel where it's like little itty bitty tiny mirrors, and he makes fun of it. He's like, what are you supposed to see through this? And again, even if you watch his videos, he's looking mainly at the side of the car. He thinks he's supposed to see behind him with that mirror, which it always cracks me up. Luckily, Doug always says, I'm not a professional driver. I just like cars. He's not a race car driver or anything like that. He doesn't have any professional driving background. He just really likes driving around in expensive cars and made a career out of it, so God bless him. Trouble Man says, if you ever want to interview a rookie, hit me up. I've pretty much got, I've got the market on rookies pretty well down. If I want to interview a rookie cop, I've got several that owe me favors, mainly because I said they could be the police, but I appreciate it. Sean says, thanks for doing these videos. I've started using your tips. Thanks. Hey, make sure you add on to them, make them your own. This isn't the end. Far from it. We're always learning. I'm always learning. I mess things up, I learn from them, and then I try to bring those mess ups to you so you don't mess up. There was a time when I thought mirrors worked like this. Please learn from my mistakes. I crashed so you don't have to. Have you ever responded to someone that's been struck by a mirror on a car or vehicle that's driving too close to the side of the road inaccurately? I have seen bicyclists get hit by the big mirrors on the side of pickup trucks. Guys will have 1-ton trucks, they'll have a dually in the back, and they'll have those big mirrors on the sides that stick way far out. And occasionally you'll get a bicyclist that gets hit by the mirror, especially in busy, crowded downtown areas, because you don't have the room to I can't put the truck in oncoming traffic to miss this bicyclist, and the bicyclist ends up getting hit. A lot of times what I've noticed is that that's from bicyclists riding the wrong way on the road. We could do videos about that all day, about people that don't know the rules of the road, that are walking on the road or biking on the road. But the long story short of it is, if you're a bicyclist, you want to ride with traffic, not against it. If you ride against traffic, you're going to end up getting hit, and when you get hit, it's going to hurt. What's the most remarkable truck driving, parking story you can share with us that blew your socks off? There was a lot of stories from driving a truck. I almost killed several people driving a truck, and the scary thing with driving a truck is that normally you're the one that's doing the normal thing, and everybody else is doing something super stupid, and that's how you end up. Because how do you end up hitting a truck or getting hit by a truck? Is that normally it's because you're not paying attention. I had one guy, didn't happen to me, happened to a friend of mine. Guy took a Miata, put it under the truck. That didn't turn out real well. One time, A buddy of mine had his truck parked on the side of the road, and a guy in a motorcycle hit him from behind. He was parked. Guy hit the trailer at the back end. Ended up, you ever seen a raccoon hit by a truck that's got dualies, and the raccoon gets stuck in the dually? It's kind of like that. Guy in the motorcycle hits the bar on the back end, goes through the mud flap, into the dually. Into the dually. That's no fun. I had one time, I was on a green light, heading southbound on Cicero Avenue, approaching 127th Street. You can Google Earth that and look at the size of that intersection if you're interested. Huge intersection, one of the most dangerous intersections in the country, last I heard, a few years ago. And I was southbound on Cicero, passing 127th Street, on a green light, covering the brake, and thankfully I was covering the brake because somebody in a Jeep Grand Cherokee decided they were going to sneak a left turn in even though their light was red because there wasn't a lot of traffic coming. And they just pulled out in the intersection to make a left turn in front of me. And had I not had my foot covering that brake, I would have killed, no doubt. I was fully loaded. No doubt I would have killed that person. But I ended up shedding enough speed at the moment to not just T-bone them in the middle of the intersection. So that was always scary. And that happened to me several times driving a truck. I know everybody that's driven a truck has had similar experiences. Franklin says, this was definitely not taught in my driver's ed class. I learned some of it in Citizens EVOC. Basic driver's ed, they don't tell people how to adjust their seat, how to adjust their mirrors. That's why you see people doing all sorts of goofy stuff, sitting on top of the steering wheel and then leaning all the way back. I don't get where people come up with it. When I was in driver's ed, they told me, get in the car, all right, adjust everything so you're comfortable, and let's drive. And they didn't tell you how to adjust any of it. So people come up with all sorts of weird stuff. Some people are comfortable, like all crushed up on the steering wheel. That's how you die. You're going to get that airbag coming out at you. It's going to give you a heart attack. You can be out of your mind. Vegas SO says, if you smoked weed all through high school, what is the best way to word it when you have to answer the police academy asking if you've ever used marijuana? Well, your best method would be to stop now. I always tell people, study for the drug test, which means stop. And then you want to put as much time and experience between yourself and that prior activity. So if you're 23 and finishing up college, you ever done any illegal substances? Well, I mean, in high school, but not in like the last 4 years. It's probably your best way to go with answering those questions. You got to answer them honestly, but do so in a way that conveys what you're trying to convey, if you get the idea. Austin P says, I do appreciate backup cameras nowadays. Worst nightmare is a small child wandering just a couple feet behind a truck while backing up. Oh yeah, backup cameras are huge. And before backup cameras were mandatory, I always said that they should be mandatory. First time I drove a car that had a backup camera, I was like, I am sold on this idea. Now they also have, some companies are doing rear view mirrors that it's a mirror, and then if you flip it, instead of having a so that you get less glare, it goes to a camera out the back of the car. So even if you have stuff stacked up in your car, you still get a view of the back, so you can still have 180 degree view out the sides of the car, which is great. I love that system. That's going to become mandatory, I'm betting, in the next 10 years or so, and I can't wait. Blow says, doesn't notice motorcycles a lot too. If you're a motorcycle rider, let me give you a piece of advice. You have decided to strap a motor and a couple of wheels to your butt with no protective structure around you. That's pretty dangerous on its own. So the onus is on you to watch for cars. Because the one thing I've learned in life is that people are not watching for you. That being said, there are things you can do as a motorcycle rider that make this less dangerous. One is, within the confines of the law, but we all know what I mean by that, make the motorcycle louder. It annoys old people, but it's going to keep you alive. People think that you put loud pipes on motorcycles just to annoy the neighborhood and look cool, and while they're cool and you are annoying the neighborhood, it also kind of keeps you safe. Because if people can hear you, they're looking for the motorcycle. And I think we all agree that's a plus. The other thing you can do is buy a motorcycle in a bright color. because people are more likely to see the little sliver in their side view mirror or the rear view mirror, or by looking over, of a yellow motorcycle or a red motorcycle or a bright blue motorcycle than they are of a black motorcycle with a dude dressed all in black. So buy a motorcycle that's in bright colors, wear bright colors when you're riding. I see a huge difference between the number of people that get hit when they're driving pretty comparable bikes wearing all black or wearing all yellow. And the accidents get way worse also when they're wearing all black because people don't even see them. Daytime running lights on motorcycles are great. I've also noticed some motorcycles, they're starting to have they're starting to have brake lights that flash before they go solid on to grab people's attention better. Anything like that you can do within the confines of the law is a big bonus for me. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, even knowing that when you get on a motorcycle, you're taking your life in your hands because you're strapping a motor and wheels on yourself with very little protection. I don't want to see people get hurt, so exercise all due caution you can while riding a motorcycle to help people see you. And then you have to take the onus upon yourself to make sure that you're watching out for drivers, because you're the one riding a bicycle with a motor at 60 miles an hour. You know, like, a lot of this responsibility is yours. Skeeter Jackson says, electronics are not your friend. Electronics can be your friend if you use them properly. Electronics aren't your friend if you're fiddling with them in traffic. Electronics are not your friend if you're changing the radio station while you're driving. Electronics are not your friend if your kid is throwing them around the inside of the car because they're upset that their Nintendo Switch isn't charged because the 10-foot cord came disconnected from the front outlet on the car. But electronics can be your friend if it's a backup camera and it allows you to see directly behind the tall back end of your compact SUV. Electronics can be your friend if it's the rear view mirror that has a camera in it so you can see out the back even when you're stacked to the roof. And electronics can be your friend when it's things like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all of that. So electronics can be your friend. It's like any other tool, it's how you wield it that's important. Samuel Hope says, can I have a shout out? Samuel Hope! That's all I got. Skeeter Jackson says, emergency lights are too bright like a light weapon. Some emergency lights that are super bright like that, they have a high and a low switch, and the problem is a lot of cops don't understand that brighter is not always better, so at 3 o'clock in the morning on the dark highway, they just leave it at full blast bright. They're supposed to have a day mode and a night mode, and you switch it up to day and down to night. And some companies install them and just assume, oh, the brighter the better. So they install them and they don't put that switch in at all. They just leave it on super bright mode. The Illinois State Police have that around here. Their lights are so bright on the tri-state that I've seen people nearly cause collisions because they get near them and then people start swerving out of their lane. And I know what they're doing because they're looking straight at the lights and they're being blinded by it. They can't see where they're going. ISP, I don't know if they have a high-low switch. A lot of places have a high-low switch in there, but some places they install them. The people that are installing the lights don't install the high-low switch. They just set it at high because why would you ever want to turn them down? Well, so you don't kill somebody. That's why. Max says, some people don't know how to use turn signals. It's not that people don't know how to use turn signals. It's that they just fail to. They just fail to use turn signals. Here in Chicago, that's real common. People just refuse to use them because here, let me explain. You'll turn your signal on and say, I'm going to go over to this lane. There's nobody there. I'll turn my signal on. The person that's back there will speed up to fill that spot because they don't want my car in front of them. I've noticed that a whole lot when I drive a minivan. My wife's got a minivan. I drive it all the time. I'll turn my signal on, and the person that's back there, I had plenty of space to come over, they will speed up because they don't want to be behind a minivan. And that's how you get people who drive cars, like, you drive a minivan, or they drive in downtown Chicago, or if you turn your signal on, people will speed up to cut you off so that you can't merge over, and they just get into the habit of not turning their signal on. So it's not just the people that don't signal, it's the people that take signaling as some sort of challenge to their masculinity that are the problem. Vegas SO says, are you still working graveyards? And if so, do you still like it? I'm on days in December and January. And I'm on vacation. It's my last day of vacation now. So days in December and January, I'll be on day shift. I hate day shift, but what are you going to do? If you had to tear off one mirror from a vehicle to use on a desert island for signaling for help, which one would it be? I don't think it would matter much because I wouldn't be driving around a whole lot. But the one mirror you really don't need is the passenger side view mirror. That's not even required by law here in Illinois. If I had to pick one mirror to rip off, it would probably be the vanity mirror up here on the visor, because I don't ever use them, especially the passenger one. Got no reason to use that. I never sit in the passenger seat. So that'd probably be the mirror I'd rip off. But for outside the car, probably that passenger side, side view mirror. Those aren't even required by law here. Ryan's Choice says, those East Coast truckers, though, no signaling, and they won't hesitate to smash you off the road. Well, they are driving something that weighs about 6 times more than your car, and you can't really brake. And if you get used to signaling and no one lets you in, and in fact, they block the area you're trying to signal into, it's kind of the result you're going to get. So driving is a social activity, and that's why it changes in different areas. People from Wisconsin come down here and they're like, people in Chicago are crazy. And people from Chicago drive up to Wisconsin like, these people don't know how to drive. They don't get out of their own way. It's different social structures on the road in these different places that cause those problems. All right, and that's about it. 43 minutes in. That's everything vehicle related. Thank you all for coming by, watching the videos. Make sure you check out the corresponding video, the original video. If you have any ideas for videos you want to see in the future, especially the Be a Better Driver videos, put it down in the comments so I get more ideas for these. I got a couple things in the pipe, but I'm always looking for more good video ideas. Until next week, you guys be safe. Take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching Free Field Training on YouTube. While you're here, why don't you go check out one of our other videos, or you can head on over to the Patreon and see how you can get your name put on the videos like these fine folks listed over here. There's also some exclusive content on Patreon that just shows you kind of behind the scenes like you're seeing now. We'll see you guys next time.